Hey, what's going on guys, welcome to this video. Now real quick, I want to apologize for not making a video in such a long time, but I am like shit ton busy right now in real life. I really want to get into a good university and all that stuff that you guys don't care about. So yeah, until the end of June I will be kind of busy, and hopefully I'll be able to make guides once in a while. So I do apologize, and let's get into the guide. Now, in terms of next soloing, I actually believe one of the best ways to learn without having a high risk factor is by going in really small teams where you are the tank and there's a couple of DPSs helping you out with the DPS, just so you learn how to tank certain things, especially the ice phase and the blood phase and that kind of stuff. So if you go with a small team of DPSs and you learn how to tank with them, it's definitely a lot better. If you see in the background, I actually did make a next guide which you are seeing sped up. If you click on the screen right now, there should be an annotation linking you to that, so definitely go ahead, check that out, go on a couple of trips as a tank, and then it should help you with your soloing. So as you guys probably know, you can actually instance a fight against Nex. This costs 800k or 600k if you've bought the 75% reduction from death for Reaper points. And basically this is a very good way to get solo Nex kills per hour, if you're actually confident in getting kills. If you're not confident that you can actually get kills, I wouldn't recommend spending the money on the instance, so definitely just go ahead and use the normal world. But the two gear setups that I'm going to show right now, they are dependent on whether you use an instance or not, because when you do use an instance, Nex will always spawn on a prey mage phase, and if you don't, then it's random, so you'll have to take different gear to accommodate that. But let's get into that and I'll explain it as it goes along. So this right here is the gear you want to take if you are using an instance, which means you will be praying mage. You don't have to worry about her switching to prey range, so you can take a full range setup. I like to take ascensions. Obviously full void is really good. I would only recommend doing this properly if you've got superior elite void or just superior void, to be honest. And on the inventory you can see that I have Sirenic, which is defensive, more defensive than void. I like to use that throughout the kill when you don't really need max DPS. Other than that, the gear is really self-explanatory. The Beast of Burden doesn't really change, and as you can see at the bottom, I show my ability bar as long as also my interface setups. That's because I like to have all of them open, and I think you guys should do too if you do have a 1080p resolution monitor. It really helps a lot to have all the abilities open, so you don't need to have like all the abilities on your ability bar. You can have them open on your screen and click them if you don't have enough space on your ability bar. So yeah, just copy this down and make any adjustments that you see necessary. And everything is the same for this alternative setup except for your inventory and the gear you're taking, because here you have to accommodate the fact that maybe she might pray range or mage. You don't really know what's going to happen if you don't use an instance. And also this is quite nice to use melee on blood phase with berserk for people who find it difficult to get blood phase down with either mage or range, mainly because berserk is quite risky. You can get KO'd quite easily, but the DPS output is a lot more than you can get with the other two styles. So I definitely recommend this setup for people who aren't confident in getting kills, so they won't use an instance. They'll just go in the normal world and use melee. Obviously, as I said before, you can change this depending on how you feel your trips go. Use this and see how your trips go with the same ability bar. You have to make ability bars on this style with mage as well as melee for this style. I generally just keep the defensive abilities the same for different combat styles, just switch out the normal basics, thresholds and ultimates. So yeah, take this gear and see how it goes. If you feel you need more food or more brews or more prayer parts, anything like that, you feel you can go in an instance, then make those adjustments based on your own opinions. So what I'm going to be doing right now is going through a couple of full recorded solo Nex kills, which are imperfect because that's most likely what you're going to get on your first couple of attempts, and this is a basic solo guide for people just trying to get their first couple of attempts. So yeah, on this in these videos that I'm going to show you right now, it's not perfect, it's not the best way to do it. I'll hopefully be making a guide on that when I perfect my soloing next. So let's get into it, different phases and all that kind of stuff, what to deal with and the basic mechanics. So guys, obviously before you go in, you want to use your overloads, drink your anti-poison, get your prayers on, get your aura on, get your scrimshot on, make sure everything is ready and sorted as you can see me doing. And once you're ready, you want to click the barrier and jump down. Let's start with the smoke phase. A lot of the phases are exactly the same as my tanking guide, so if you want to check that out, go to the description, a link in the description, or click earlier on the annotation in the video. For the smoke phase, what you want to do is make sure you will always have anticipate active, because if you do not, Nex will actually draw you in, drop your prayers and stun you for a bit. And also she has another special attack, which is where she shouts there is and then flies across the room. As soon as she does this, you want to make sure that you are nowhere near the middle or the pathways. If you see on screen right now, the place where I'm standing is a really good place to stand while you're doing this phase, because you can get straight onto the minion and you won't actually be in the path of the no escape, which can damage you for quite a bit and stun you, just like the other special attack where she draws you in. Make sure you're using anticipate, as I said before, as much as possible, and if anticipates on cooldown, then you just gotta hope and pray she doesn't drag you. If she does, you gotta use freedom, get your prayers back on ASAP, and then carry on killing. When next gets to 160,000 life points, she will call Fumus. As you can see, I got dragged there, gotta use freedom. You attack the minion with range, you want to make sure you kill it. Mage does not work on minions, and melee only does half damage, so range is really good. And definitely make sure that you actually put a bleed on next when she shouts there is, just so that you get that double damage when she moves. And next up we have the shadow phase. In this phase you want to make sure you are praying range, and right at the start, as soon as next changes to this phase, you will actually shout embrace darkness and spawn a black dot underneath you. If you don't move away from this within 1 or 2 ticks, you will get hit for 4k unblockable damage or somewhere around that, so you definitely want to move. She'll use this same special attack every 5 auto attacks, so it's quite easy to count once you've done next for a while, especially if you've been tanking or even going as a DPS. You learn this quite easily. You just want to make sure you click away, and when she actually does that and spawns a bomb underneath you, then it's quite nice to put on soul split, use one threshold like snapshot if you're using range, which will give you some nice life points, and then switch back to pray range, because she does stop using auto attacks while the bomb is on the floor while she does that special attack. But if you don't click off, you can easily get comboed with that 4k damage and an auto attack, so make sure you're definitely watching out for those in this phase. Praying range, this is the only phase where next uses ranged attacks, so definitely pray range, especially if you're wearing void. You can get wrecked. As soon as she calls the minion, obviously run to the northeast, kill the minion. The minion uses mage, but I'll definitely recommend sticking on prey range, because next does a lot more damage than the minion can do. Kill the minion, and you want to make sure that when the minion's dead, you have 100% adrenaline for the next phase, which will make it so much easier. Definitely use some brews to not reduce your adrenaline while getting life points, and when you're done, run back west and move on to the blood phase. And next we have what is arguably the hardest phase for soloing next. At the start of this phase, I really like to have full adrenaline, as I said in the last one. Put on my Ring of Vigor and activate my ultimate ability, whichever combat style I'm using. If it's melee, it'll be Berserk. If it's mage, it'll be Sunshine. If it's range, it'll be Death Swiftness. As soon as that's done, put on back on my Surgeon's Ring, drink an adrenaline pot, and put a bleed on the Blood Reaver, because at the start of this phase, next will actually be siphoning and you won't be able to damage her. So put a bleed on the Blood Reaver just to get that life points down a bit, and then start attacking next. After I believe 3 auto attacks of hers, she will actually demand a blood sacrifice. And if you don't get far enough away, she will actually heal 10,000 life points. So as soon as she turns you red, I recommend using one basic ability and then using escape, running back to your Death Swiftness or Sunshine, or if you're using Berserk, just run back. And you want to do maximum DPS in this phase. Don't put any bleeds on next, otherwise she will heal instead of getting damaged. But yeah, use thresholds whenever you can, and make sure you're doing maximum DPS using adrenaline pots, Ring of Vigor, Silent Surgeon, switch, all that kind of good stuff. And a really nice thing to do is if you don't actually get next down far enough, she won't call the minion, she'll start siphoning again. When she does siphon, put a bleed or use a basic on the Reavers, because if the Reavers are low life points, next will heal less at the end of the phase. And to be honest, that's all you really need to know for blood phase, is just take some perseverance. Make sure you're escaping or running away when she makes you red, because otherwise she will heal 10,000 life points, which is just an annoyance. Use thresholds as much as you can, use ultimates whenever you can, like Berserk, Sunshine or Death Swiftness, and you should be able to get this down if you have the right gear and you have RNG on your side within 1 or 2 siphons. If it's any longer than that, the kill can drag on and it can be quite annoying. But yeah, just do what I said in this video, and hopefully you will be able to get down blood phase. And as soon as you're done, as usual, go to the southeast, kill Cruor, and move on to the next phase. Now what I really like doing is waiting for next to actually demand a blood sacrifice of you, and then attacking her to move her onto the next phase. Because if you wait for her to sacrifice and then move her on to the next phase, then the first special attack she uses on the next phase makes it quite a bit easier, but I'll get into that right about now. Next up, you have another pretty difficult phase, which is the ice phase. A lot of people switch their tank gear in this just so they don't take massive amounts of damage. Now, as I said in the last bit, if you wait for Nex to sacrifice and then move her on, her first special attack on this phase will be a contain, which is a lot easier to deal with. Basically, if you're standing in a box radius around her, you will be stunned, and she stands out stalagmites that will hit you if they do touch you for around 2k unblockable damage. The other special attack on this phase is the ice prison. You need to make sure you're anticipated beforehand, or you use freedom when you're in it, otherwise you won't be able to eat and you'll get hit for like 7k damage. When tanking, usually you would use barricade to block this damage, but when you're soloing, I recommend just tanking it, eating through it, and just carrying on using DPS to get this phase over and done with. She'll use the contain, and then 2 or 3 attacks later she will use the ice prison. I recommend after the contain using anticipate, and then a couple of basics until she does actually prison you. Eating up in the prison, definitely recommend it. It's probably the easiest way to get KO'd. And when she contains, normally she will actually run after you, so a really good thing to do is to run away. As you can see, I failed here, I got stunned, so you want to make sure you are away from Nex when she contains, and then use anticipate when you're free, because you don't want to be killed by the ice prison. If you don't use anticipate and you're in the ice prison, you will actually be stunned, and you can quite easily die if you don't have freedom. So yeah, just eat up throughout this phase. Make sure you're praying mage and carry on killing Nex. Make sure you don't get one hit KO'd by the ice prison, which is really easy, and the contains can be really annoying, so watch out for those. As soon as she is done and called the minion, you want to get the minion down ASAP, because this phase really can drain quite a bit of food with those special attacks, and probably the most aggravating of all the phases. And finally, we have the Saros phase, which is where Nex can actually do one of two things. She can either continue praying what she was praying throughout the kill, which is either range or mage constantly, or she can swap, as you can see on screen here, between pray melee, soul split, and no prayer. It's a lot easier for you if she actually continues praying what she was praying throughout the kill. If it's in an instance, as you can see right here, she will probably be praying mage, and that makes it quite a bit easier because soul split actually does heal her quite a bit. On this phase, you definitely want to pray mage. Nex can hit 4k with her auto attacks on this phase with mage, and you want to make sure you resonance those, make use of those, get some free life points, because if you're running out of food, this is not the place you want to die. It can be really annoying getting so close to the end. You don't want to lose the kill right now, so make sure you are eating up. As you can see on screen, I kind of failed, had no rocktails on me, but you want to make sure you always have at least one emergency rocktail, loads of food, and if you want to get this down easily, I'd definitely recommend doing what you did on blood phase, which is using your ring of vigor and then using an ultimate ability, adrenaline pot, put your asylum surgeon's ring back on and go for the maximum DPS. Also, if you want a resonance, I recommend turning off pray mage, then using resonance, and if she doesn't hit you after 2 attacks, turn on pray mage, because your resonance will run back out. And another really good thing to do is to turn off your run energy, so you're not running, you're walking. Use a bleed on Nex and then walk into her. Even if it does fail, you can actually walk her 1 or 2 steps, which will double the damage of the bleed depending on which one you do. Obviously on this phase, because you can pray melee, it's a deflect melee, so you want to make sure if you do have a melee set up, you don't want to use it when she's praying melee, obviously, because you can get KO'd really easily. As you can see, that bleed right there was really nice. I walked it perfectly, and it's really nice to walk her when she's soul splitting, so she heals the least amount of life points possible. You can get this over and done with ASAP. This is the phase where I definitely recommend, if you have bought tank gear like Serenic, which has better defense than Void, to put that on, because she hits a fuck ton even through prayer. You should be able to get the kill done, and as soon as you're done, you'll get trash loot like me, and you've done your solo Nex. That's all you need to know. So guys, that's all you need to know how to solo Nex beginner's guide, get a couple of kills. I will hopefully be making an advanced guys different video for the different phases, like one video for the smoke phase or blood phase or different phases that you guys might find hard. Definitely put them suggestions down in the comments. Also, any ways to improve this guide or my future videos, I'll definitely want you guys to put them down in the comments. And be sure to use this guide and pause it whenever you feel necessary, rewind, rewatch certain bits, because I may have spoken a bit fast for you guys. If you need anything to be explained or you don't understand it from the video, put it down in the comments. Hopefully I'll get down to looking at all the comments and making sure I reply to all of you lot. Even if I don't, then hopefully somebody else will reply to you, clearing up any misconceptions. Definitely check out my tanking guide, which is very, very useful, as I've stated throughout this video multiple times. I'm really look forward to your comments. If you enjoyed this video or found it useful or informative, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more PVM content. Peace out.